Hi, it's Steve with Coin Stuff I Like and bringing another one of the Carson City Stuff I Like series, part 15. This one is going to be about the 1877 silver denomination set that I have. Um, and it's composed of four pieces. I've previously um, brought you the 1875 cc silver denomination set, which had six pieces. It had two dimes. It had the mint mark above wreath and mint mark below wreath variety. It had the 20-cent piece, quarter, half, and the trade dollar. This one has only four, and it's actually the next to last year where you would have a silver denomination set that was uh, anything more than just the silver dollar. The Carson City Mint stopped producing dimes, quarters, and halves after 1878. So I put this together, and this is it's a busy chart. I do have this in a hard copy Google Docs form that I will link to in the description of this video so you could have it and refer to it. Basically, what I did is I went to Rusty Go's book, The Confident Carson City Coin Collector. It's a three volume book. It's outstanding. I put the link for that in the description as well. And Rusty Go gives some pretty well considered survival estimates for all 111 production pieces from the Carson City Mint through its history from 1870 to 1893. And yes, there's 111 different pieces, but there's actually only the dollar, which started as a seated Liberty dollar for the first four production cycles, 1870 to 1873, and then the trade dollar flipping over in 1873 through 1878, and then the Morgan dollar from 1878 to 1893, minus those 3 years that the mint was shut down from 86, 87, and 88. So a dollar is one of the denominations that was produced essentially every year that Carson City was open and actually actively minting coins. But it had three different designs. The only other one that went all through from 1870 to 1890 without missing a date, except for those years, 86, 87, and 88, that the mint was closed. The only other one was the double eagle gold coin that was produced in every year that Carson City Mint produced coins. Every other denomination, whether gold or silver, did not have that type of longevity at the Carson City Mint. And as I mentioned as I rolled into this slide, the silver, when you look at the silver production, only the dollars persisted after 1878. Up until 1878, from 1870, the smaller denominations, dime, 20-cent, quarter, half, that's the limit of their run at Carson City was between 1870 and 1878. So I produced this chart to help explain a couple of other little things. So I'll pass through there. The first one is that if you are going to put together a year denomination set, that included more than a dollar, then it has to be in these years 1870 to 1878. Number one. Number two, if you're going to put together a year set, then you're going to come up against some significant rarities. And I'm not putting the original mintage estimates. I'm putting the survival estimates, which is really, accessibility at this point in time, right? So look at these. If you want to put the 1870 set together, you have only 70 to 85 existing quarters left to try to get. You're running into big bucks, and the other ones are pretty hard as well. Look at 1871. So I put this little stop sign or do not go or wrong way. These are all incredible rarities. Here's an explanation on 1873. In 1873, the United States switched over from the no arrows to arrows on either side of the date in 1873 because they changed the weight standard of the coins and were indicating the new higher weight coins. So in 1873, there was only one. There's only one surviving specimen of a no arrows dime. Only one. So you ain't gonna get that one. In fact, if you're gonna put together a 111 piece set, meaning every variety denomination produced by Carson City, there's only one person or one entity that can ever have that collection, 111 piece set. Only one, because of that, because of this one. The Nevada State Museum in Carson City, where Coin Press number 1 still resides, has a 109 piece set. It's missing this one, and it's missing this one, the no arrows quarter. So you can see in 1873, I have two lines. This is no arrows. This is the with arrows survival. No arrows, with arrows, no arrows, with arrows. That's for the dime, quarter, and half. All right. So 1873, and oh, by the way, if you remember my series on my PCGS slabbed Carson City silver dollars set, it's missing this particular one. There's likely less than 100 1873 Seed of Liberty dollars left. So these years, you're not going to do it unless you have very, very, very deep pockets or you hit a very, very big lottery. 1874, this is going to be the one. I mean, you're not going to get there. And there's only 3 pieces that were possible. And this one's also pretty, hard to find as well, the half in 1874. So there are 5 date sets that you're probably not going to be putting together unless you're one of the rare folks that can afford that hobby, that part of the hobby. When you get to 1876, the trouble spot is the 20-cent piece. At Carson City, they only produced 20-cent pieces in 1875, 1876. And that's true of the entire United States, although they did produce proof 20-cent pieces in 1877 and 1888. Not at Carson City Mint, though. So if you're putting a set together, remember the 1876 20-cent piece is the 3rd rarest of all the Carson City pieces. Look, there's number 1, there's number 2 in terms of rarity, there's number 3. So 1876, although it's possible to put the other 4 together, you're not going to put together a true 1876 denomination set because you're going to have a real hard time coming by that 20-cent piece. for 1876 Carson City. So that leaves these three: 1875, which I've already showed you, 1877, which I'm about to show you, and maybe 1878. I don't have that one because there's there's a number of tough ones. The trade dollar, I put Morgan here because I didn't want to put a whole nother line in this table. So the Morgan was 125 to 150,000. No problem finding 1878 CC. But finding these, even in a lower grade uncirculated, this is tough, that's tough. And this is, okay, I've got one of these. I've got one of these 1878 CC quarters. But coming by, I have a trade dollar as well, but coming by the half is going to be costly, and the dime as well. So 1878 is possible, but it's pretty tough. Whereas in 1875, 1877, you can see the survival rates are all in the thousands of pieces, with the exception of the quarter in 1875 and the trade dollar in 1877. But even then, they're tough, but they're not rare or unique or exceedingly rare. So these are doable dates, and that's why I've already brought you the 1875, and that's what I'm going to do is bring the 1877, and maybe some years from now I'll bring you an 1878 a complete silver denomination set. If there's a good reason why there's the gold pieces, the half eagle, the eagle, and double eagle. I don't have that chart because I don't own a Carson City gold piece at this point. I will add one eventually, but if I were thinking of adding one, say to this 1877, oh yeah, let me get a Carson City gold piece. Well, the 1877 Eagle has less than 100 survivors, so you'll probably never see me with a complete 1877 denomination set from Carson City. I think that's the background that I wanted to cover, and I guess the only other thing is, if you look at the dimes here, 1875 to 1877, that is 98.5% of the entire production of dimes from the Carson City Mint. All the other years were relatively low in terms of mintage and survivors, and there's nothing after 1878. So let's get on with looking at some of the pieces. So the dime, the design, Cedar Liberty design, is designed by Christian Gobruck. The original mintage was 7,700,000, of which about 22.5 to 30 K survived. That's about 0.3% of the original mintage. So less than 1% of the original mintage survived to this day. Of those survivors, only 350 to 500 are estimated to be uncirculated. This is not one. I'm putting together primarily a raw set, lower grades, VF, XF, that sort of thing, or lower. In this particular set, they all come in around VF or XF. So uncirculated is about 1.6% of the surviving examples. That means about 98% or a little over 98% of the surviving examples are circulated, and that's the set I'm putting together. So this is the dime. Notice no arrows. I mentioned earlier, in 1873, they went from no arrows, which was before everything before 1873 was no arrows. In 1873, they switched and started producing with arrows there because they went to a new higher weight standard for these coins. And then by 1875, they took the arrows. They didn't need to make note of that. So 1875 and beyond, there are no arrows on the seed of liberty dimes, quarters, and halves. So this one that I have is called the Variety 102. The obverse is there's a die crack at the date, and the most characteristic finding is this break in the S. You can see it looks like a filled die right here. Essentially, the top portion of the S, the top bar of the S, is incomplete. It's lost to the field. So just this little hanging serif here, but nothing in between. So that's one marker. And then the reverse, the words one dime are doubled. If you look here, there's doubling here, there's doubling here. You can see it in the E, most pronounced here in the E. There's some splitting down here. Yes, there's doubling up here. So it has a doubled one dime. And some other characteristics, other markers, but these two markers are pretty easy to pick up. And this has an R3, rarity 3, which means there's about 201 to 500 examples of this particular dime surviving and existing. The quarter that I have in the set also, the Seed of Liberty quarter, no arrows, designed by Christian Gobrick. Just over 4 million of them were minted, of which 4,000 to 7,700 survived. That's about 0.1% of the original mintage remains. And of the survivors, there's about 350 to 500 that are uncirculated. That means about 93% are circulated, as is this particular example. This example is of the 4 coins in this denomination set I'm showing you. This is the brightest, but it has quite a bit of wear on the high point. So when you see something that clean, that bright, and it has that much wear on it, you know it was dipped, and it probably dipped quite well. It looks really good. I don't see a lot of hairlines, but it's a nice bright coin, but probably dipped. I don't know the variety. There's a few markers I can look at, like the placement of the 8 relative to the 1 and the 7 and 7. You know, maybe some repunched mark here. I'm not sure if that's doubling or post mint damage here, but I don't have a reliable source for all of the Carson City varieties of quarters. If you happened to know and want to make a recommendation of a good book or source, online source, for all the varieties, all the die varieties for Carson City City Liberty quarters, leave it in the comment section, please. The $50 is a nice example. Looks like it may have been dipped. When I look at it closely, it looks like it may have been an old dip or some kind of other environmental damage here. The half is also Seed of Liberty, Christian Gobrick design. They minted just over 1.4 million of these in 1877. Of which about 3,000 to 4,000 survived. That's about 0.2% of the original mintage is surviving. So, of that surviving 3,000 to 4,000, only 165 to 325 are estimated to be uncirculated survivors. That's about 7% of this number. And about 93% of all the surviving specimens are circulated, of which this is one. So when you look at this one a little bit closer, use the Wiley-Boogert scale. This is a WB11, a variety for 1877 cc. It is obverse 8 and reverse J. So the obverse 8 is a repunched 77. And the repunched 77 went slightly northwest, which means the remnant is down here. And this being a example that is, let me go back and this example is maybe an XF ish, high VF, low XF example. The where is harder to pick up the markers, but yeah, this is repunched 7-7 moving upwards in slight northeast on the repunch. There's typically a clash mark here if you have a new example, again, where eliminates that. But the key marker on the obverse for this variety is this little feature below the chin. It's probably a gouge, maybe some dye abrasion in there, but that is clear and a marker that's consistent with the markers identifying this particular obverse. And then the CC, the location, the mint mark placement is the reverse identifier. This particular variety, the WB11, is a R4 for this series, for the $50, which suggests that there's about 76 to 200 of this particular variety of 1877 cc half remaining to this date. So fairly low number. Trade dollar. This one here I bought in a PCGS holder. So all the other ones I bought raw and self slab. This one I bought in a PCGS holder. If you remember, I had an 1877 cc trade dollar in my PCGS silver dollar slab collection. That was a VF 30 straight grade. This is a VF details cleaned. And you can see there are some hairlines in this. And so, yes, indeed, it is a cleaned coin at some point in the past. The original mintage was 534,000 of these. They were sort of tapering back, and 1878 was the end of the trade dollar production with a handful of those. They estimate the survival at 400 to 525 of these left. Remember, trade dollars were used in commerce in the East, in Asia, and a lot of them were lost there, melted or chop marked, what have you, but lost for collectors. This has no chop mark, so it's doubtful to me that this ever made it to Asia for commerce. It's probably circulated in the United States for some purpose. So they're about there's less than 1/10% of these surviving from the original mintage, and about 75 to 100 uncirculated examples are surviving. That means about 81% of the survivors, 81% of this 400 to 525 are circulated like this one. This one is the die pair 7, which has a type 2 obverse and type 2 reverse. it has a slanted date and a low C. So the mint mark alignment is pretty characteristic and pretty easy to identify this. But there's also a little clash mark, and even though this one is VF, you can still see some remnant of the clash. This is from the ribbon on the reverse side clashing here. So those markers allow one to identify as this die pair 7.1. Now, if you realize that there's about 9 to 10 die pairs that were used to produce the 1877 trade dollar, and there's 400 to 525 estimated total survivors, that may mean that there is as little as 40 to 53 survivors of this particular die pair. That's if all the maths came across and there wasn't a differential preservation of some of these. So there you have it. Those are the examples. Let's take a look at them on video, so it allows me to rotate them and show them to you with different lighting. And then we'll come back for some closing remarks. All right, here we go. 4 coins, starting with the dime, 1877 cc. This is a pretty nice one. I'd say is about XF. Pretty nice. I think it's original too. I don't see any hairlines on this one. A little bit of toning there, the periphery, and just looks original to me. This one, I think of the 4, would have the best chance of straight grading if I sent it in. I'm not going to. I'm happy having my set in these slabs for this particular purpose, just to minimize expense. Next is the quarter. Now this one here is between the dime and the half dollar. Both are about XF. This one's a VF, and it's the brightest of all the coins. Very bright coin. Very bright. There is wear. If you look closely, there's wear on the high points. So they're a little bit better on the reverse. Let me get that back in focus for you. But look how bright it is. Both sides. Both sides. That tells me with that amount of wear and that clean of looking coin means it was probably dipped. It was dipped well. Whoever did it did a great job on it, but I don't think this would straight grade. I think it'd come back details clean, and I think it'd come back about VF. Nevertheless, it's a pretty looking coin, and it is a Carson City. So I'm very happy to have it in my collection, and taking up that 77 cc $quarter spot. Now, next is the half dollar. Now, this one here I think is an XF condition, but if you look, see the color in the field there, and fields on the left hand side, lower left, between about 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. If you look closely, I'm not sure if it's going to show up on the video, it does look like the coin was dipped, and there's residual from the dip a long time ago. So it's probably an old dip on this coin. So it would probably come back XF details if I sent it in. get that focus for you. Very pretty. Nice details on the devices. Very nice. But probably has been dipped. I didn't see any hairlines, which is great. But this one probably come back XF details cleaned, and there's evidence. To me, it looks like prior dipping. Nevertheless, it's a CC and it fills this denomination set, so I'm really happy to have it. It's a nice example. And again, the previous 3 coins all probably circulated, probably used in circulation. You know, I don't know what you can get for a dime back then. You probably can get a whole, a whole dinner for a dime back then. So, these things are circulated. Now, the next is this is a PCGS holder. This is the way I bought it. This one is in a VF detail cleaned holder. The one in my PCGS slabbed Carson City silver dollar set that I've already done videos on, that is a VF30 1877 cc trade dollar. This one here, a VF details cleaned. Now I'm not sure if it's showing on the video, but you may pick up there's some hairlines. You probably see them on the right, in the fields on the right, and the fields on the left, underneath the arm, in front of the torso there. And I think someone did some cleaning and left hairlines on it at some point in the past. VF is about right for the grade. No chop marks, which means this one stayed locally in the United States and still got some circulation. It was used in circulation somehow. For a while, trade dollars were not legal tender, so to speak, in the United States. Silver dollars weren't, but nevertheless, this got used at some point, and it also got cleaned. It nevertheless, as I said before, I'm proud to have it in my collection. It's Carson City. It's a very nice coin with some history behind it, and as are the others. So let's go back to the slides for some commentary and conclusion. And all right, welcome back, and let's go ahead and wrap this video up. I'm gonna say that number one, I'm very proud to have this collection, this denomination set from 1877. It's probably the last of the semi-affordable, and if I'm going to try to do this, the next one would be 1878, and that's not going to be cheap, so you may not be seeing that video in quite a while. But the fact that it's Carson City, these are used in circulation, particularly if you think about it, the cost of living back then, the dime and the quarter were, and maybe the $50 on occasion were the mainstays for commerce, day-to-day commerce, and so the fact that these are circulated and we're using commerce, they're from Carson City, they're from the Old West, and also referring back to some of my earlier Carson City videos, this was the peak of the Comstock load, was right around 1875 to 1877 was the peak production of the Comstock load. So this was the heyday, and I'm glad to have a representation of the heyday of the Comstock load in these coins as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this and picked up a few little tidbits here and there. Thank you for watching, And remember, always buy stuff you like, but be smart about what you buy. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.